We have more for your ears only. I'm Katherine Herzog.
I'm David Alpern with this quote from the news. They take social bonding to a new level. They don't abandon each other. That was Lori Marino, a professor of neuroscience and behavioral biology at Emory University, on some 40 pilot whales in danger of drowning off the Florida Gulf Coast because they wouldn't leave 10 podmates who earlier beached and died there. Now this.
The dream I dreamed was not denied me. Just one look and then I knew that all I longed for long ago was you.
From the 1944 film CoverGirl, legendary Hollywood beauty Rita Hayworth and dance master Gene Kelly. In fact, Hayworth was one of only 6 women to dance in films with Kelly and Fred Astaire. Still, for all her looks and talent, the great American love goddess was not really singing there, but dubbed, this time by vocalist Martha Mears, as she was so often in her films. It was just one of the many frustrations behind the fame of Hayworth's public and private lives, now brought to the stage in a one-woman multimedia production titled Private Dancer, conceived, written by, and starring model-turned-actress and dancer Sage Snakechalmer.
Through stagecraft, dance, and film, Snakechalmer explores the personal struggles of screen star Hayworth, her desire for normalcy, her tumultuous romantic life, including 5 marriages, and ultimately her greatest struggle, deteriorating health and descent into Alzheimer's, which would eventually take her life in 1987 at the age of 68. Private Dancer marks Snakechalmer's professional stage debut, and for your ears only, we're pleased to have her on the line now. Welcome to our show.
Hello, nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
First, tell us a bit about yourself, beginning, we can't ignore it, with your last name. That's Snakechalmer. Where does it come from, if you didn't make it up?
It doesn't have anything to do with snakes, like people think sometimes. It's a name that's a family name from my Hungarian background, and another for my husband. That we made a new name, our own name, and that became my name about 4 years ago.
Well, tell us about your career before the theater and what led you to acting.
I previously had owned and run a management company that represented photographers, and I was a producer and worked with photographers and one director for many years. And it was a great experience being able to be closely involved in many artists' creative process. And I myself also was known for the business that I had of picking some very interesting kind of collection of creative artists. And I did that for many years, and I started studying acting in 2005. And I loved it so much. It was something I did just for fun because I was always a workaholic, and my business was so much of my life that I just did something that I had been interested in. When I went to go to school, I almost went to school for theater, but I instead chose art history at Fordham University. And so film and the stage were always an interest of mine, but I got into a business at a young age. So because it was a happy place for me, I didn't think that my life would change, and that when I started studying acting, I would become so interested in acting that I took a few years to really make a decision, and then I decided, this is something I really want to pursue, and I felt like I would have regrets if I didn't pursue acting.
What first attracted you to the story of Hayworth's life, and how did you do your research?
I went to a school for method acting, a studio in New York City. Susan Batson was my teacher. And when you go to her school and you go to her directorial class afterwards, after you complete the program, you get assigned a character to work through the program within the character study. So I was given a choice of characters of Rita Hayworth or Shelley Duvall, who I really love as well. And it was a tough choice for me, but I thought, let me choose Rita Hayworth because I felt it would be a little bit more challenging for me. And I started studying Rita's life, and this was about 3 years ago. And the more I learned about her, the more I realized how similar our lives were. And we struggled with the same things, familially and career-wise as well. So I really, as I identified with her, I started to write, and I thought about doing my own show and not staying within student context with the work. And so I immediately took up residence in California for a while, and I wrote. Finally, I wrote something I really liked a lot because I felt that I used Rita and the example of her life as a beacon to transfer some other messages that I had learned along the way.
Well, where does the title of your production, Private Dancer, come from?
what I learned about Rita, and this was something that I really identified with in Rita, but she was groomed to be a dancer from a young age, and I myself was an athlete from a young age. So it was an escape for her from her the pain and the strained relationships in her family, and it was her place to go. That was a safe place to escape to her physicality, and that's why she excelled so well in dance. It was her own private place for her to go to. It was her own place of safety, and it remained her place of safety for her life. It was her place of joy. And that's something I really identified with in Rita, because my fitness and dance and other athletic activities and my physicality was always the place that I funneled kind of my creative energy into.
Private Dancer is a combined media performance. Talk about some of the different elements that you bring together to express the real Hayworth.
Thank you. I originally had planned 2 short films to be shown throughout the play. And then when I met the director came from a film background, Bob Dagas, and a production background as well, from Hollywood, here in New York, to pursue his stage desires as well. So we really had a lot in common, that we came from kind of a camera and cinematic and photography background. So when I went to put together and write the actual film, we actually cut the film to use in transitional ways between scenes, but we actually created a 15-minute entire film. And the film is a dream Rita has that deals with the identity of Gilda that had been built around her, the love goddess, the it girl. This was a very hard image for Rita to hold up for the remainder of her career, and it was something that became troublesome for her as a person, because she was a very, very human person. She wasn't just a beautiful face. She was a very talented woman, who was a very great actor and a beautiful dancer.
Sage Snakechalmer conceived, wrote, and stars as the legendary Rita Hayworth in Private Dancer through December 21st at the Lion Theater, 410 West 42nd Street in New York, and privatedancertheplay.com.
Bewitched, bothered, and bewildered.
From pal Joey. Now this quote from the news: "It will work, and it will happen, and it's going to be fun." That was Amazon chief Jeff Bezos on his plan for small octocopter drones to deliver orders to customer doorsteps.
Next, Oh Baby, the power and perseverance of baby Jane Dexter, for your ears only.